What's up YouTube, Daryl here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you a Go Second branded Despia profile. Now what makes a big difference between this being a normal branded Despia and a Go Second? Well, it allows you to utilise the Ecclesia, wherever she is. There we go, Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous, and it also allows you to utilise more Go Second cards. So rather than playing hand traps, the idea behind the deck is you go full gash, you burn through all of your draw cards, burn through the deck, get to Incredible Ecclesia, which is a free Albaz, which can then also be a free form of Super Poly, but then you also then start breaking your opponent's board apart. You then pretty much push for the OTK game. The difference between this and the other ones is going first is pretty much standard. A lot of people are playing hand traps, they're prepared to try and break boards, or they're prepared to try and stop boards being built. Whereas this one, it kind of puts your opponent under that pressure of, I don't really care what you build, I'm going to break it regardless. And once you've kind of set yourself up to do that, siding is a lot easier because then you can start conducting your deck specifically for the matchup. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, let's dive head first into the profile. So we'll start off with the Despias. Triple Aluba, double Tragedy, single Dramaturge, and a single Adlebiton. Obviously, Adlebiton is going to be your recycle, and the idea is it's just going to keep on going and going and going and going. The Drama is as a 3k beta that can loop itself back around. Tragedy is your searcher once it is banished or fused, or sent to the graveyard, and then of course Aluba is your Mac Daddy. You've then got triple Ecclesia, and this combos off nicely with double Albaz. Now, you could arguably play 3 Albaz if you wanted to in place of an Albion, or just put 3 Albaz in, because the idea would be that from one card, you're pretty much able to bait a card out. So you're doing a 1-for-1 exchange. So you special summon Ecclesia, your opponent will have more monsters than you, you can tag her out. She'll recycle herself in the end phase should you need to as a mandatory effect. But the idea is that you can tag her out, go into an Albaz, discard a card. Albaz will then fuse into Lenatus. It can also go into Titaniclad. It can also go into Mirror Jade quite easily. And then straight away, if they're not able to stop that, or you've opened up droplets or anything like that that allows this to successfully resolve, you're still then able to play with a 5-card hand, because all you've done is, or a 4-card hand, sorry, because you've gone Ecclesia, discard 1, and that's been able to get you a Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade can then send from the extra deck to the graveyard to banish a monster, and then you already started to pick away at least 2 of their cards. We've then got double Mary Carrier. Now, you could arguably play this at 3, and the reason you do that is so that as soon as you do get a branded fusion monster on the board, or a monster that has been fused with Fallen of Albaz, listed in its text, you've already got a negate, so your opponent can struggle with that. And then banishing this with the sword as well. I'm just going to bring this up here. So Albion send this, banish this to add this back after it's been banished off the law. It's just crazy good. Then we play a bunch of one-offs. So the Light Hex Seal, this is to get you into Dragoon and the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. It's optional, so you can take it out if you wish. Fairy Tale Snow, again, it's just one of them gas cards, and once you put it into the graveyard, should your opponent try to target and disrupt your cards, you can banish them and still get their effects off with Snow. Snow can become a Book of Moon, it can be an extender during the battle phase, it can pretty much win you a game on her own. The final monsters slash spells is going to be triple Edge Imp Chain, double Patchwork, and double Poly. Now obviously Poly isn't once per turn, but Patchwork and Edge kind of are as well. But after you've kind of successfully resolved this, you're just mainly gaining advantage back to your hand, build back up your hand. Banishing this off of a law is free fodder, but then you've also got Poly plays which can get you into your Despia monsters, whether you need to go into your Masquerade to burn the game out, or whether you're going to be going into your Quinteris to kind of reduce all your opponent's monsters and then just punch in for a clear game. So that's it for the monsters and a couple of the spells slash trap. Moving on into the full spell lineup, we do play triple branded fusion, pretty straightforward and simple on that one, alongside triple branded opening, double branded in red, and 1 Despia Theatre alongside a single branded loss. Now, you could arguably put branded loss up to 2, because what makes this so good is your opponent could then not negate your ability to fuse with Albaz. It would mean that they need to stop the Ecclesia tagging out, because as soon as Albaz hits the floor, it can be targeted to be negated, but it can't negate the activation. What we mean by that is they can activate Imperm to negate its effects, but they can't activate Judgment or Warning or anything along those lines. So then you got 3 Allure, so obviously this is your main draw card alongside the Albion, and then you get additional effects by banishing stuff like Tragedy and banishing like Merit Carrier. And then got double Super Poly now, obviously alongside stuff like Forbidden Droplet, these are obviously deck specific. Now, depending on your local environment, depending on the matchup, that's where you might want to change these around, do something a little bit differently. It's a flex spot for you to choose what you need to. I just feel this is such a good board breaking card, which is also why I'm playing Mud Dragon in the extra deck, just to kind of give me that ability to Super Poly in a rogue matchup. Then for the continued board breakers, we've got 1 Dark Hole and double Raigeki. You could max either of these out if you wanted to, but the idea is that sometimes you actually want to clear your board, missed it mine, and then there are other times when Raigeki does the job. The alternative option is, of course, Lightning Storm, and the reason I haven't got that in here is because it's one of the ones that, as I go through the gas of Allure of Darkness and stuff like that, if I already have a monster on the board, or a face-up card on the board, then Lightning Storm's completely dead. Yes, it does with front row and back row, but with something like Dark Hole and Raigeki, it does give me that ability to still play it in a later stages of the game or later stages of the turn. Arguably, these could be hand traps as well. They could be Nibiru's, they could be Dark Rulers. It's entirely up to you. The idea of this is it could also be Kaiju's. It's just to be able to play through and break your opponent's board or do a 1-for-1 trade. Like, imagine you go cool, Change of Heart, that gets rid of their Omni Negate Raigeki, or Raigeki, that gets rid of the Omni Negate Change of Heart. And then, of course, last one is, of course, Called by the Grave. So that's it for the main deck. I believe it's a 42 card deck. This is just something a little bit different from the pure version. I'm not saying that this is the best version. I still think that going first with the amount of gas you can produce is a lot better. But it does give you an option that you can use at your local environment to try and test it out and see if it does better for you. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, we'll go over the boss monsters first. You got your Guardian Chimera. No surprise on that one there. And then your Priscillian. I still really like this card. I'd rate it highly because if your opponent's playing it, again, it's specific to the decks because they need to have a light and a dark. But it's why once you get this on the board, you're going to revive one of the monsters you've used as a Super Poly target, and then you're going to be able to revive or banish during your opponent's turn as well. We've then got the 1 Quintiris alongside double Masquerade Dragon just to kind of finish games out and see them through to the end. And then, of course, for your Super Poly targets, you've got your Dracus Depelio and your Mud Dragon, along with, obviously, the other stuff as well. We've also got Titaniclad. The reason I've gone with this one is just because it's another generic kind of Super Poly option, and it does give you that option a little bit more, should you need to, or should you not be able to get into Mirror Jade, Albion, or Lubellion. You've then, of course, got Alba, alongside 1 Lubellion, double Albion, and the 1 Mirror Jade. Now, obviously, these are pretty straightforward and standard. This one's a little bit better, especially with the resurgence of Dragon Link. One of the best things about this is you can set a Albaz and then contact fuse, because you can fuse face down, which is really important. And the last 2 cards is Tyrant Dragon and Dragoon. Dragoon is just for that Omni Negate, so if you feel that you're going to be able to run into a Nibiru or anything like that, then you make Dragoon the first card off of your branded fusion, and then you're pretty much protected from that point on. So if your opponent has 3 monsters on the board, you can branded fuse, make Dragoon, and then that means that your Ecclesia is then going to be free to do whatever she needs to do, all of that without your normal summon. And then Tyrant Dragon is against stuff like that is heavy back row. So for example, against an Eldritch matchup, if your opponent's got heavy back row, as long as this card is on the board first, it's unaffected by trap cards. If you wanted to put more trap cards into the deck as well, you can start to recycle them and loop them around. But the idea is that it's just one of them ones that stuff like Hiquero, Imperms, Compulses, anything that would deal with it or give you issues along the back row, Tyrant Dragon can deal with, and it can clear off your opponent's board. So if they put loads of monsters on the board, being 3500 is quite nice. I would have liked it to be 36 just so that it doesn't get outed by a buffed up Eldritch, Mad Golden Lord, but then obviously Lord can just send it and get rid of it as well. But still a really good card. Again, techie options, you don't have to play them. It's entirely up to you on what ones you do play, but this was just to give you a additional option for the Albaz deck, and just to kind of show you that you can build it to go second. You can adapt it to add back the Kaijus that I used to play as well, and it's just whether you want to go for the full gas version, whether you want to go for a Fallen of Albaz go second list, or you want to mix it with the branded to give you that balance of both. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, share. Turn us on, guys, as absolutely always. Stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.